Hey, beautiful people. I hope that you are having a fantastic day. I recognize that my timeline is very interesting lately. I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about personal branding, being a $1 billion bid writer, speaking on all kinds of stages that maybe you're like, what is she doing at a data conference? She's not a data scientist. Well, this is where I get to kind of take a moment, reintroduce myself. I recognize that I'm approaching about 4,000 followers. So the last time I introduced myself, we probably had at least 1,000 fewer people in my sphere. So I thought it might be a good opportunity to take a moment, introduce myself, say hey to Twitch, my fur baby. He is the star of the show at the house. But I wanted to just take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Unica Walcott. I'm a personal branding maven. I'm a speaker, a moderator, a writer. Those are things I do, right? But when it comes to like just how I do life, like I really, really enjoy advocating for people, amplifying their voices, and telling stories. Like that's what gives me joy. I love to celebrate. So if you've given me an excuse to celebrate, I'm going to get all into it and tell you about it. For example, for about 2 years, I hosted a podcast called Career Conversations. And the whole premise of the show was for us to talk about folks beyond their identity and their job title. Hi, Twitch. You are not hardly ever up here. Y'all say hi to Twitch. Knows better. You hear him? He had to make his appearance. So, with that, I'm bringing back career conversation. So, the next episode, episode 51, the first time in over a year, is coming back tomorrow at noon. It's going to be on LinkedIn Live. You're going to find it on YouTube. You're going to find it on my website, even. It's going to be easy to find because if you can spell my name, you can find the show. It's uniquewalcott.com. That's UNIQUEKA. That's unique and KA for people who are like, how do you spell Unica? It is much easier than you think. So that's where you could find my website. That's where you can find information about my speaking and moderating and writing capabilities. You can learn about this upcoming show. If you're interested in being on the show or you have a show you'd like for me to appear on where we could talk about GovCon, artificial intelligence, we could talk about really navigating and owning your career. Something I love to get into. I was a guest on the PSM podcast late last year with Deidre Booth of Tank Girl Marketing. And it was a blast. I had so much fun. I'm just talking about the things that you can navigate. So if you're looking for a speaker, writer, or moderator, your person. But I wanted to dive into like how I even got here because how do you go from like proposal manager and writer to like being a speaker, a moderator, and a writer at events that have nothing to do necessarily with architecture, engineering, and construction? And so I'm gonna pause just a moment, make sure I'm not like catching comments and missing things on different pages. If you guys are engaged, I don't want to miss the opportunity to say, "Hey, how you doing? It's so great to have you." Um, so, with that, one of the things I want to share is just how I became a $1 billion bid writer. I know that's a pretty saucy statement to make. In fact, I was really a little bit nervous to put that out into the world last year, and what I was met with was an overwhelming amount of positive response. So, $1 billion bid writer. How did we get here? So, I have been in the proposal writing space for professional services for over a decade. Um, I have gotten the luxury of working with subject matter experts ranging from environmental scientists, historical preservation professionals, historical, architecture um, leaders. I have worked with traffic engineers, roadway engineers, bridge designers, security experts, and so I've worked on things as wildly different as Amtrak and Port of Tanzania sort of opportunities. And so, I mean, I won't bore you guys with a laundry list, but one of the things I have learned is that being a subject matter expert in proposal and bid writing has allowed me to switch hit and work on projects that are not necessarily officially my assigned client or assigned discipline a lot over the years. And I've been wildly successful at periods having multiple years of 50% win rates on everything I touch. So when I tell you that writing and words, this is my gift, it is the thing that delivers impact, builds wealth, and builds relationships, I'm your girl. So that's what I do. It's so fun. Like when I get assigned, to a particular task and my subject matter experts go, yes, it's you again. I got the A team. Like, or I've had instances over the years where people will come, they will ask me first, like, do you have capacity? Because we're going to go ask, your supervisor to have you lead this, but I don't want to put you in a bad spot. And so usually I got capacity, or I'll make room, especially for people I especially love working with. And we get stuff done and it's great. But that's a little bit of the backstory of becoming a $1 billion bid writer. If you really want like the real tea, you have got to go check out my article. And I'm going to drop it in the links. It's called Cultural Inheritances Are Powerful. And this really talks about how I quit a job in the mortgage industry. I'm talking a full-time paid job, not 18 months of contract work that led up into this particular role. But I quit that job, packed up my little Kia Forte with everything that I could fit from what was left out of my apartment, and I moved 12 hours away to another state. And that is really how my career started. I took an 8-week contract position, leaving a full-time permanent gig. Nuts, right? But I believe so deeply in myself and my abilities, and I have been very, very intentional about what I was hoping to do with my skills. I'd finished my journalism degree in previous years, and I was like, I did not go get this degree and focus on journalism and public relations to continue processing mortgage loans. And the deep irony is part of the reason I couldn't find the job was because of the mortgage crisis and the recession that followed. So it was a lot of irony sort of in the story of becoming a $1 billion bid writer. But I wanted to just share that with you. Like, how did I become a $1 billion bid writer? Like, why do I tell people this? Because I think it simplifies my impact and my capability into a very short phrase for folks. And that's part of building a effective personal brand, but it is not the whole picture. And so some of the things that having a powerful personal brand have allowed me to do is obviously the upcoming show tomorrow with Tasha Barron Smith of L3 Virtual Solutions. She is a gem, guys. She is also my bookkeeper. She's an author, an entrepreneur, and an accountant. And when I tell you that her services are not just about making sure your books are in order, she is also a whole vibe when it comes to expanding your mindset and how you approach things. Somebody you would love to have in your corner. So I want you guys to take an opportunity tomorrow at noon. She'll be right here on LinkedIn Live. We'll also be on Facebook and YouTube. Watch the show, leave your comments, reach out, connect with us. I think it's going to be impactful in ways you can't understand. She is a mama for a military spouse and just all around great person to know. And so in my endeavors to grow my brand and advance my skills, she and I met in a community that I'm a part of. And I was like, hey, you want to be on the show? Because I think that people will value you. And then people go, why is she interviewing an accountant? What does that have to do with building a personal brand or, her role as a proposal writer? Well, part of Career Conversations is about helping people understand who the person is behind the job title. But also sometimes I'm intentional about who I bring on the show from the standpoint of helping people who are interested in growing their businesses and leveraging the opportunity to be able to find those resources quickly. Like, that's a part of having a powerful brand. People know who to look for, how to find you, when to find you easily. And so tomorrow's an opportunity. You're looking for an accountant. Maybe you're going after a contract. I've seen contracts where it's like, you must have CPA certified financial statements, or you need to give us evidence of your capabilities and qualities so that we know that when we give you this contract, that your company is not going to be bankrupt in 6 months and we've got a 5-year contract with you. Like, so that is the importance of having financial professionals in your corner, regardless of the kinds of business you do. A lot of your clients, especially when you get to larger opportunities, are going to have a level of expectation that maybe you are prepared for if you are not looking and forecasting into the future. So tomorrow noon, you got to get into this show. It's so good. Also, opportunities that have come as a byproduct of building my brand. So this is actually a byproduct of a relationship I built with a fantastic filmmaker and advocate for young women. And I happened to just be scrolling LinkedIn one Saturday morning. Thank you, Dr. Hurt. And for whatever reason, I just was overwhelmed with this like sort of feeling like from the Holy Spirit, like, I need to know this woman. And so I dropped a message in her DM. I said, this is going to sound absolutely absurd, but I just got a feeling you were somebody I need to know. And I don't do that often. I might introduce folks in a flyby connection, but just to go, I think you're someone I need to know, is not something I usually say. And so long short, she and I ended up going out to brunch together, like in 24 hours, even though she lives in DC and I live in Orlando. She happened to be in town that weekend. Like, it felt so kismet. And so we had a blast. We ate some pancakes, chit-chatted, got to know each other. And that has blossomed into a wonderful friendship where she had the opportunity to put my name in the hat to be a part of rolling out, and talk about my success and how that has transformed into my company, Unica Walcott Communications. So just a wonderful opportunity. But this is all a part of building a brand and her being able to understand what I do, who I am, and having the confidence to make that referral. That's what a personal brand will do for you. Another example, this is one of the highlights of last year. The guys, I almost didn't go, but one of my former guests for Career Conversations invited me to New York to attend their personal branding retreat. And I would tell you, it was such a powerful thing. I still am in touch with a lot of folks you see here in this video. There was quite a few more of us. It was an intimate event, so there's maybe 25 total. But the event was an opportunity for me to go visit Podstream Studios. We all recorded a live mini sort of version of our podcast, each telling stories. And I tell you, when we left this room, not an eye was dry. We were all in there crying. Like, mind you, we had not known each other for a whole 48 hours, but we were sharing on a level that had us in tears. But like, that is something that happens when you build confidence, to build a brand, you know your story, you know who you are. So that's just another example of an opportunity to build a powerful personal brand. This is also an opportunity in which we were featured on a billboard in New York Times Square as a part of this gathering. So when I tell you there's opportunities to build impact, it's not just, okay, let me host this show where, you know, I talk to strangers for 30 to 45 minutes. The show even has purpose. It's an opportunity for you to build out your network, find the people you need so that you can grow and advance in your endeavors, whether it's I need to figure out, how do I become a commercial real estate agent? How do I become an accountant? How do I become a data scientist? I'm talking to those people and they're telling you about their paths and their journey so you can figure out which pieces you need to borrow to add to your map. So that's just a little bit of it. Also, one of the highlights of last year, this was phenomenal. I moderated a panel for the Black Women in Data Summit. And this particular event was a lot of fun. And ironically, this was one of those opportunities where I dropped a message in a DM, bet on myself, and said, hey, I'd love the opportunity to do this. And I got to talk to these 4 fantastic women about the impact of AI. The actual panel was entitled Clean Up on Our AI. And in this conversation, we really dived into, I'm going to adjust the screen. Okay. We really dived into what it means when everybody's not included in the way the data is modeled and developed and decisions are made. So Sion Sador on the far right, and the green blazer really honed in on the idea of what happens when the FDA uses AI modeling for X-ray technology. And it was really exciting because she's been a part of several studies. That was wonderful. We've got, you know, Ebony, she was an expert in PR, and she really helped us understand some of the things that are on the horizon for marketing, public relations, and AI. We got Lisa Blanchard, who really drove home the idea of what AI means from an HR standpoint. And then Ms. Dorsey, who really gave us a touch of something, some of the insights and things we needed to consider. I think one of the favorite questions of the whole event had to be actually around the conversation of, well, what do I teach my children? What do I tell my children? What does the future look like? And that's the conversation that continues to be ongoing, not just in the business sphere, but also in the sphere of how do we talk to our children? Like, I had a few guests a few weeks ago came over and they were like, you know, I don't know if my job's going to be around in 5 years because of AI. And I don't know what I tell my son about how to develop his skills in his career. And I mean, my first response was, I think you should really focus on developing emotional intelligence, because I think that's one of the things that AI cannot emulate well at this stage. And it's going to be highly necessary for all of our well-being. And with that being said, I've got some really cool stuff coming up around the conversation of AI. I am currently writing an article for SNPS Central Florida's newsletter, and SNPS is the Society for Marketing Professional Services. I was really excited, y'all. I wrote this draft last week. I submitted it to the editor. They said, you want more word count? Because I told them, I said, look, this is what I got in that space. I said, but I have more to say if you would allow me. And so that particular article, we were focusing on some of the tools that I have enjoyed using that have helped me produce thought leadership and content like Career Conversations much, much faster with much more ease. And so I share those things, but also if you've been following me in my conversations around AI, I also talk about things like justice and equity and sustainability, because one of the things that blew my mind in some of my earlier reading is about the energy demand and requirement for these resources. It's pretty intense, y'all. I'm gonna pause just a second and make sure I say, hey, I think Tasha's watching. Hey girl, thank you for watching and joining this morning. So that's my little quick 15 minutes about like what's going on in my bubble, how I ended up, being a $1 billion bid writer, how I teach about personal branding and marketing, talking about AI, what do these things have to do with each other? I think a lot of times people go, well, she is confused. I'm not confused. I'm on a mission, friends. My words have power and impact. They build transformation and wealth. And so with that, I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anything behind. I want you to have access to the resources, the information that you need to understand that building a powerful, masterful personal brand is an opportunity for you to enter rooms and spaces that you didn't think you would have access to enter rooms and spaces that no matter how much money you had, you could never get in, because the relationships are the catalyst. And so that's what I demonstrated to you today when I said, okay, look, you saw me go to New York and go to this particular conference. This was an opportunity that was gifted to me because of the relationship I built. Jamar was on my show probably 3-4 years ago, Career Conversations. He and I stay in touch. The rolling out feature, which was amazing. If you want to go to uniquawalcott.com, you can get the link, you can read about it. I really, in that particular article, really talk about leadership, what it is to lead with empathy, to get to know your people. And so, yeah, you got to check me out, understand what I'm doing. It all has sort of the crux is like, how do I help people prepare for the future, build a better quality life? And one of the ways we do that is by having access to income and to money and the knowledge necessary to use it well. And so I'm doing my thing. I'm educating folks. I'm sharing what I learned. I won't pretend that I have got this deep, deep understanding of every single thing I could touch. If that's the case, then I should just, not even pray anymore. But so, God is giving me the opportunity to, as a journalist, as a curious human, be able to explore all these different opportunities and break them down into context that is meaningful to people. That's why I'm a $1 billion bid writer, baby, because the way that I take complex information and issues and I bring them home to the regular person who may not be an engineer or a data scientist, I explain it in a way that makes sense. So what? Why do I care? And this is not something that just applies to my proposal writing. It's something I do across all of the ways that I communicate. So, for example, one of my favorite stories, I love to tell this one. I was working on an award submission. The leader who wanted me to do this award submission said, I don't think it's going to do anything, but I need you to submit it anyway because you got to appease my bosses. Okay, cool. I got you. So I took the angle of exploring further, not just the project. We could talk about it's a steel girder concrete bridge. It's a bridge project in a rural town. I said, okay, let's tell a story differently. I took the story and I said, okay, where's the real human interest part of this? And so I said, okay, this deficient bridge is not sufficient to carry a school bus. Well, I went to Fort Valley State University. Y'all know that is where they build school buses for Bluebird. So I said, let me look up on the Bluebird website how much an average school bus weighs. And so when I looked at that and I drove those points home together in the way I linked the story for people to understand, there's value in this project. The project he said didn't do anything was a finalist. But I tell you that because I want you to understand that personal branding is thought leadership without the suit. It is a way for you to elevate your ideas, to elevate your expertise, and just be seen as an all-around badass. So if you are interested in that, I need you to make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn, Unica Walcott's where you can find me. I'm on Facebook under Career Conversations. So you follow the page. If you're like, I want to know more about the show you're doing. What's the show about? The next episode is tomorrow, friends, at noon. And it's going to be amazing. And you need to be there because there are resources that you can't afford to miss. And so this is just a part of a mini series all about money. Because ladies, we need to talk about money more than a little bit. We need to get comfortable with the conversation. So Career Conversations tomorrow at noon. We're having Tasha Barron Smith of All3 Virtual Solutions. She is an accountant, entrepreneur, and author. If you were an entrepreneur, I also encourage you to pick up that book, Prayer Principles for Entrepreneurs. If I said it too fast, if you missed it, it's all the more reason to watch tomorrow. You can find the broadcast on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. There's an actual event for it. I need to drop that link too. But it's 8 a.m. I got things to do. I love y'all. Have a great one. Mwah.